Drake,
Ilima, what's up, girl?
hi.
Hi.
Where's your handlebar?
Oh, I know. We're short right now. Sorry to
And your hair
disappoint.
is too.
Yep, I know. I've done a refresh. So, new year, new
It
me.
looks good.
Oh,
It looks
thank
good,
you.
but I
Thank
like
you.
it.
Yeah, so how are things with you? How's it been? I feel like we haven't talked in a while.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I'm just like at the doctor's right now, like insanely sick.
Uh-oh, that's not good.
Just joking. I'm not. I'm not. But don't put. I'm using an IV right now.
Oh, all right. What are you there for? Just like kind of routine stuff before, the fight and everything, or?
Just vitamins, all that good stuff. Yeah.
All right, that's fun. And I saw you were at the last show, right? You did commentary. That was cool.
Yeah, no, that was super last minute because yeah, I didn't tell productions until like the day I flew in, like, hey guys, I'm coming to the show tonight. And then oh shit, okay, let's put you on. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, I remember talking about it with you before, like you've done commentary, but not for Bellator. So, and there's a lot of prep that goes into it. So was that kind of a lot harder just going in that way?
It was actually way easier because like so yeah, I've done like 4 shows with Bellator where I was on the desk with Josh them.
Mm.
Um And so yeah, those are the ones where like, yeah, lots of preparation. You have to look up all the fighters. But this one just putting me on the spot. Well, it was like, hey, you want to commentate the girls fight? And I was like, fuck yeah, I do. I already know these girls. Like I fought one of them,
Hmm.
so I already had a good idea of what I wanted to say, I guess, about them. Um, and then yeah, so it would that was easy. So thank God I'm a women's MMA fan because
Otherwise, you'd
yeah,
be totally lost.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean that fight was kind of crazy. I didn't expect Vita to finish. Like I knew she could win, but man, like to guillotine Vanessa Porter, she's only the second person to ever submit her. I think the fourth to even finish her at all. Like, was that crazy to you as well?
No, I mean honestly, and it's funny because you can't really say a lot of things on broadcast,
Right.
but I knew that Vita was going to win because she's just fucking intense. And I honestly feel like Vanessa is just losing steam. She's at the end of her career, or I don't want to speak for her, but she just seems like she's at the end of her career and she doesn't have that. She doesn't have that fire anymore. And so I was just like, yeah, I think Vita's going to finish her. And then as the fight started going on, I was like, oh yeah, Vita's going to fucking definitely finish her with that guillotine because I've been in that guillotine and it sucks. And this was like the third time in the fight that she got caught in it. So I was like, oh yeah, she's gonna finish.
Yeah, and especially as Vanessa definitely did slow down, which was kind of uncharacteristic of her. But yeah, I mean, well said there. And Vita, I mean, she wanted to keep fighting after you practically cracked her skull open, so not surprising. You know?
Yeah, that could have also been the steroids that she was on, but again, that's not something I could say on the broadcast. So
Fair enough.
also respect for her. I was actually like, no, fuck you, Vita, you're a cheater, but I just can't say that publicly. So
Got to keep it professional. We're working here. uh, and what your mom was at the show too, right? She lives in Washington, doesn't she?
yeah, she lives in Washington because she's taking care of grandma who just like won't die and is just fucking still alive like crazy. She's definitely who I get my fighting spirit from. So mom's been up there for 6 7 years already, just like taking care of grandma. So yeah, I went up there to go visit her.
You make that sound like it's bad that grandma's still kicking.
It's because grandma is like kind of a vegetable right now.
Oh,
Um, so and she has dementia and she's bedridden and she has all these things which she's been in hospice for like 2 years. And
mm,
so that's what doctors are like, what? why is she
right.
still, it's like because my mom fucking takes really good care of her. And like
Yeah, she's a
so
great mom. She's good at what she is.
but yeah, I mean of course we love grandma, but it's just time for mom to come home. And grandma has lived a great life. She's 98, I think.
Oh.
Great life. And yeah, it's time to go.
Yeah, it's funny. Not funny, I guess, but I have a grandma who's also not maybe as bad as sounding as yours, but she's kind of in the same boat where she just got into hospice like this year, and she's like, I want to die, and it's kind of like really sad. But you're like, well, if that's what she wants, I don't know. It's been a good run, Grandma.
Oh, we should make shirts. It's been a good run, Grandma.
That could be good. That could be good. But it's funny too, Ilima, like seeing your mom at the event, like it made me think about, I've been talking to a lot of fighters recently just about kind of when they came up in the sport, and when you start out, like their parents, it's always kind of different for different families, right? Like how accepting they are, especially if they're MMA families, it's totally fine. But for those that aren't, like, I don't know, I guess what was your mom and dad's, family kind of reaction when you first started out? We're like, don't do this. What are you doing, Ilima? Like, how was it?
They've always been supportive in anything I do. So yeah, they were just like, okay, cool. And my dad came with his freaking camcorder, like to one of my fights, and so they were cool with it. But then when I went pro and I had my first fight with Bellator, like my mom was super nervous and she couldn't watch. She was like pacing back and forth around the house. She didn't come to my fight. She didn't come to a couple of my fights because she just like couldn't watch it. And then after a while, then she's like going crazy in the front row and
super fan.
Yeah. So they're totally supportive. They love it now, and I'm very fortunate to have really, really supportive parents in everything I do.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like they had to see that, all right, she's good at it, so we're all right. She's not getting her ass kicked every single time.
Yeah. But I do always ask this to other fighters, is that what do you think is the harder thing to do? Watching your partner fight, watching your kid fight, or watching your parent fight?
Ooh. Yeah, that's a really tough one. I would think for me, it'd be kid maybe. I don't know. That's a really tough one. What do you feel like?
Do you have any kids?
No, I don't. But I was just thinking in theory,
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, I don't want to see my parents fight because they don't have a fighting bone in their body. So I'll be like, I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
But everybody, for the most part, they say watching your kids fight is the hardest.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And I could see Jason being an all right fighter.
I'd probably like be more embarrassed than anything. Fucking look at the shitty ass technique now.
Right. Very critical.
Yeah. I would be more critical than anything. But he's definitely, he's had his fair share of fights on the streets and at the bars.
So he's all good.
Yeah.
And what I also saw, you're doing the thing with Alta now, right? Which is really cool. I mean, is that brand new? Like, have you been doing it for a little bit, or tell me about this?
No, this is going to be the first season for us. And so Alta was formerly known as like Wimp to Warrior.
Right.
And then they rebranded as Alta. So yeah, they're bringing it over here to Southern California. There's a couple gyms doing it. And yeah, we decided, okay, let's freaking do it. Even though it's, start date is right before my fight. It's all good. We have the coverage. But yeah, it's a cool program, and we're excited. We have a good solid crew that is signed up for it. And yeah, I was joking with Casey and Esther and Cynthia, because they're like, oh, we want to do it if it was up here. But I was like, dude, imagine if we had all the media reporters and the media people do Alta, and then the fighters were the ones that documented it and recorded it.
Role reversal.
Yeah, so I think you should look into it if they have it in your area.
Yeah, no, for sure. It would not be a bad thing. And Casey already did it, right? So good for him. And
yeah,
good win there. But yeah, as for you, Ilima, like I didn't for some reason missed kind of what was happening after your last fight, which unfortunately lost. But I saw you say like broken neck and all this, and there was the replay of the moment. What exactly was the extent of this? Did you actually break your neck? You're turning around pretty quickly for a broken neck.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So it was a stinger from hell that my whole left side went numb. And so right after the fight, I was like, no, it's just a stinger. It's just a stinger. But like I couldn't move I was just like this the whole time. And so my coaches were like, no, fuck that. You got to go to the hospital. It could be something herniated or something. So they took me in the ER, which was super dramatic. And that's why I was like on a stretcher, super dramatic. And I was in the trauma unit. They like cut off my clothes. And I was just like, I think it's just a stinger, but okay. And, you know, I did all the CAT scans, MRIs, x-rays. And fortunately, it was just bone contusions and the feeling and a little bit of nerve damage in my shoulder, and the feeling came back after like 5 hours. I could start like feeling my hand again. So yeah, it was fine. I just had to fucking like take steroids after that to help heal it, like to get the inflammation down. I'm pretty sure that's legal, right? Like it's a Metzel pack. I think that's legal. But yeah, I was just like,
too late now.
I had to take all this fucking medication to help bring the inflammation down. And then did all the rehab, did PRP in the spine, and it feels pretty good. I mean, it's not like 100%, but nothing's 100%. So yeah. Nothing broken, but yeah, that's why I was sitting with the neck brace on in the ER, and when the results came back, I was texting Bellator like, "All good, guys, let's fight! Like, put me on the next card."
They're like, "What? Are you crazy?" Yeah, I mean, we could see you shaking, like trying to shake the arm between. What was it going into the second round? Did it happen in the first round?
Yeah, it happened in like the first minute.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's no good. So I mean, is it tough for you to kind of reflect on that one? I mean, I don't know if you watched it back or anything, but like, how do you kind of look back on? I mean, you still were able to get all the way through. You didn't get finished, so that's like a good plus.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that was a big takeaway, was that I didn't quit. My doctors think I'm really stupid because they're like, no, you should have not fought for another 14 minutes. But yeah, I didn't quit, but it was also like a takeaway was that, oh, maybe I should learn how to kick, because this would have been a good time to fucking kick instead of throwing shitty punches. But no, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't want to say, oh, if I didn't get hurt, the fight would have been different, because you never know. And I don't want to take anything away from Justine. I think that she's really fucking strong too. And so I'm like, fuck, maybe even with 2 arms, like I wouldn't have been able to get out of a lot of things she had me in. So I will never say that the fight would have been different if I didn't get hurt, because at the end of the day, shit happens. It's an even playing field. May the best man win that night, and she was the best one.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a potential for a rematch, so it's like, we'll see what happens. And with that in mind, like, have you been working on the striking then, kick stuff specifically?
No, of course not. I do not kick, and I let everybody know, like, you don't have to worry about kicks for shit, because I don't kick. Part of that has to do with my shitty knee, and secondly, my doctor. I am literally anatomically not made to kick. I'm dead ass serious. Like, my hips are not made, they're not flexible. And because I asked my doctors about it, I was like, yeah, like it hurts when I do blah, blah, blah. But they're like, oh yeah, the way your hips are angled, like you're not gonna be doing any fucking head kick knockouts anytime soon.
Even like leg kicks are no good?
Well, just putting all my weight on my bad knee is sore, and then kicking with the bad knee. So that's why it's definitely a mental thing. That, yeah, I just don't like to be on one leg ever. So no kicks from me.
All right. Well, everybody knows now, I guess. But since we also last caught up, Ilima, like Liz Carmouche, she did it. She won the title. I'm sure that was very exciting for you. And that was a very interesting ending. You know, people very not sure how they felt about it. I'm kind of on both sides of understanding, so I'm not exactly mad, but I don't know. I feel like the outrage was a lot crazier than it needed to be, even though like I said, I do see the understand a little bit, but I don't know. Just what did you make of the whole fight and then obviously the ending?
Yeah. So I think that the fight was really good, like leading up to the finish. I thought it was pretty back and forth. And yeah, it was two really sharpened, great fighters going like throwing down. I thought whenever there's a girl fight and it's high volume and intensity, that's always really awesome to watch. And it's good for our division, our promotion. With that said, I am totally the same as you, as that I understand both sides. I can see why people thought it was an early stoppage. But I can also see why it was a good stoppage, because I have personally been under
That
Liz
exact position.
Carmouche's freaking crucifix, and there was no way that Velasquez was going to get out. So I think that it was a good stoppage at the end of the day. But I do think that this will make for a very anticipated rematch.
Yeah, and I think that stoppage is like the perfect example. Maybe not perfect, but a good example of like people I feel like forget intelligently defending yourself is a thing. And that was not exactly happening. And it's hard to from that position. So that's kind of what I look at the most when it's like justifying it.
Yeah, exactly. And even though it seemed like they were little rabbit shots, like elbows, no, yeah, like Velasquez just didn't really have a sense of urgency, and I think that was obviously to her detriment. But like I said, I think the rematch is going to be really dynamite, and Velasquez, in my mind, has the strongest case for the next shot.
Yeah, things kind of sorting themselves out right now. I know Kana wanted a Japan title shot maybe, but obviously this changes a whole bunch of things, and there's a story there, but just one win since her loss. Kind of a lot to be figured out, and now Vita's getting up there. Maybe they could fight. You got your fight coming up here, and let's talk about that Bruna Ellen matchup. Fun stuff. She's been around for a good bit and just kind of had some breaks, like in terms of taking time away in the last couple of years, but now is kind of getting some momentum, and now she's fighting you, so a big deal for her. And obviously, you want to get back into the column too. Just have you been watching her, and what do you think of Bruna Ellen here?
Yeah, Bruna has been around from basically the beginning. She was part of that first or second wave of signees to the division, and she's pretty much fought everybody that I've fought. Vita, Alejandra, I believe, Velasquez. So yeah, I think that it's about time we're fighting each other. I'm surprised it took so long, and it will be. I gotta say, it's either gonna be really fucking boring because she's gonna run away from me and just try to outpoint me. She's a point fighter at the end of the day. She's not a finisher. Every single one of her fights has gone to decision. So yeah, I don't anticipate her like going for the finish. I think she's going to be smart and she's going to try to outpoint me and run on the outside. Or it'll be really exciting and it'll be a brawl and we're just going to stand in the middle of the cage and just freaking trade shots.
Yeah, that's
while I try to take her down, obviously.
Of course. And I mean, do you take anything from like, of course, there's going to be haters or people speaking like, oh, Ilima's getting an unranked opponent, like they're showing her favoritism and whatnot. Like, do you listen to any of that stuff or let it motivate you or anything like that?
No, I didn't even hear about that. I don't look either way, but at the end of the day, I think the rankings are bullshit anyway, because like any ranking that has Valerie Loretta in there, it's a bullshit ranking. So I don't even care. And I think that the only reason Bruna isn't ranked is because she had that long layoff during COVID because of visa issues, So I'm like, I made a very successful career out of fighting, and so I could give a shit what people say about my career.
And speaking of other things, that have gone down recently, or at least kind of you've brought up, I wanted to mention this because I think it's very important and a serious thing to mention, but the Dwayne Yuen stuff, which I just kind of want to know if there's any updates. And I guess I didn't really realize the full extent of things till you highlighted it recently and saw, like, for me specifically, it was the text messages which stood out, and I was like, this is a legitimate psychopath, you know, kind of very bad,
Psycho.
very, very
Yes.
bad. So hopefully
Yeah.
is there any good news you can give us since? I know it was a couple weeks ago, but
Yeah. So yeah, so the fat fuck predator. So the good news is that I was actually on the phone this week with safesport.org, which is like this kind of not vigilante, but like they monitor a lot like sports. They exist because of this, because of predators in sports. And so I reported him to them. So I think that they're kind of like a middleman to you know, like, okay, now this coach is reported, let's reach out to all these establishments and institutions that might deal with whatever. And so I reported to him. I was on the phone with them this week. And then I was also on the phone with NCAA, which is the people who you have to get licensed in order to coach in all of these outer leagues, outer sports leagues. Since my story came out, I've actually received messages every single day from former players, parents, just everybody who's like, if you didn't share your story, my daughter would still be playing with him. So like, thank you. And yeah, I've just been, yeah, that's definitely still something on my radar. I'm not going to stop until he is banned from like ever working. And this motherfucker is trying to make a new team because I'm pretty sure his team got shut down because because I was like making so much noise about it. I think the team got shut down. The other coaches left. And so this stupid fat fuck is trying to make another team, which he's so dumb because people send me screenshots and they're like, hey, this is his new team he's trying to start. So I'm like, oh, let's report this one and doo-doo-doo. And you know, he tries to block me from all of his pages that he makes for his teams, but I'm like, you dumbass, like people are sending it to me,
right.
you know. So yeah, so I'm a woman on a mission. Yes, I'm fighting in the cage, you know, as a career, but I also fight crime outside of the cage.
There you go, very admirable. And I mean, I wanted to ask you that too, like, he's never tried to say anything to you? When was like the last actual contact?
Oh, so he's such a dumbass. The last contact that we had was actually when I first started fighting. When I started first fighting for Bellator, this stupid fat fuck like hit me up, and we had not talked for literally years since middle school when all the shit went down. So this is again like maybe like 10 years later almost, that he reaches out to me via Facebook and he is like, oh, like, congratulations on your fight career. Let me know if you need sponsors. And I wouldn't respond. Like, he's such a fucking creep. And like, so I wouldn't respond for a while. And then, you know, at the time I'm just starting out in my career. So I was like, oh, if it's for you, $10,000, which at the time was like a shit ton of money.
Right.
So it was obviously
before the tundras and the houses.
yeah. I was like, dude, yeah, fuck you. Like, oh, you want to be a sponsor? Like, then fucking give me this much. But like, so anyway, he would always reach out to me. And then he like invited me when he's like, hey, I have extra tickets to the UFC fight this weekend. Like, do you want me to fly you out? And at that point I was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you still messaging me? And then that was it. He stopped. And then we filed our lawsuit against him maybe like 4 years after that. Because that was when more victims came forward. And then that's when we were like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So, but the shitty thing is that we qualified under the old law, which there is a statute of limitations. I was the youngest victim. And so, yeah, unfortunately, my birthday, like, we missed it by like 3 months, something crazy like that. So that's why we were not able to criminally prosecute him. However, it's not over yet because we know that there are other victims that do fall within the statute of limitations. And unfortunately, one of them is like so traumatized that she that she doesn't want to come forward or anything, which is totally fine. Like, we completely understand. And, you know, if she's ever one day wants to change her mind, we will be there to support her. Everything is on your own time. So to anyone out there that is experiencing the same thing, like, when the time comes where you want to share your truth, like, that's just do it when you feel ready. And we will all be there to support you.
Is it hard for you to kind of juggle something like this on your consciousness with like everything else you have going on, you know, going into a fight camp and trying to focus on that stuff? Because I mean, it's a pretty big deal, right? So like, is that tough at all sometimes?
I mean, yes and no, because at the end of the day, like, this is what my future is. Like, in a fucked up way, it actually all aligns with the work that I do with Native communities, Native women, Native Hawaiian women. Like, the conference I attended last week in Hawaii was like, I went to a conference or a seminar about missing and murdered Indigenous Native Hawaiian women. And Native Hawaiian women, we are actually the most sex trafficked out of any demographic in Hawaii. We face the highest rates of abuse and domestic violence. And so, like, all of this, it all is like what I want to do, you know? And so if that means that, like, calling out my childhood predator fucking like 1 month before my fight, okay, cool, that's good. All right. You know, and I was like, fuck, I should do it the week of my fight, because then there's more, you know, media attention,
Still
more,
can.
you know, eyes. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's all part of the plan, part of like a higher powers plan, and it all aligns. And the fact that I'm fighting out in South Dakota, which is Indian country, and they have some of the highest rates of missing and murdered Indigenous women out there. Like, again, this shit is all like supposed to happen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a good way to look at it, all combining into one and, you know, work out in the end. And let's lighten things up, Ilima. I feel like we got real dark there.
Yeah, we talked about my grandma dying.
Yeah.
Childhood predator.
My goodness. Well, here's a fun question, though, that I've been asking a lot of people. So I want to get your thoughts on it. I feel like I have a lean that you might go towards, and this is completely random, just to, you know, lighten things up. But me and my friends were talking about it, too, a while back. But what would you prefer between 30 days of night or 30 days of light? You know, kind of that Alaska question, because that happens up there.
Hold on, sorry, Matt is, fuck. My manager was calling me. I'm so sorry. Okay. Well, what would I prefer between 30 days of light versus 30 days of night? 30 days of light. Yeah. I feel like, yeah, it would just be very depressing being in the dark all the time. Yeah, definitely light.
So my thought for that was like, I feel like it would be easier to get myself to sleep when it's night all the time. You know, but it wouldn't, because your circadian rhythm, it needs that sunlight. Do you not listen to freaking the Uberman podcast? Or look at how white I am, Ilima. Yeah, you freaking look like a vampire. You can see through me. So yeah, you need to. Yeah, no, definitely the sunlight. We need vitamin C. Or okay. Vitamin D, whatever it is. All right, there's the answer then. We'll lock it in. And I guess might as well get one more in here before I let you go, Ilima. But it's been a hot topic, especially this year. We might have talked about it before, but the open scoring debate. What do you think about open scoring in MMA? I think it would be great. I would like it. I mean, especially with all the fucked up judges' decisions as of recently. Yeah, I think it would be very beneficial. And, you know, all these other promotions that are talking shit about the judges, like, oh, the judges got it wrong again. Okay, well then actually, it's not up to the promotions, it's up to the commission, right? Yeah, so what the fuck, commission? Like, what are we waiting for? Let's fucking do open scoring then. Like, I don't see why you wouldn't want to do that. Is it like too much work to have somebody lift up a fucking scorecard that's like,
hey, this is what I scored. You're like, what is the issue? You know? Yeah, what is the issue? Do you know any of?
Well, the big argument, and even the California State Athletic Commission head, what Andy Foster, he's the worry for most people, and even Dana White has said it, like that it will, fighters are going to coast. The whoever's winning is going to not go for it as much as if they weren't. But then the easy counter to that, for most and myself too, is like, well, then the other fighter's gonna fucking go for it even more. Like, I think it outweighs, you know. But that's like the number one argument against it. Which, do you agree with that, or is that silly?
I can see that. No, I can definitely see that. But again, um, I think that is just going to be part of the strategy of a fight, and I would rather have that than have a fucked up judges score that fucks over a fighter, and judges that have never even fucking stepped foot inside a cage before in their whole life, and they're fucking scoring, like they're scoring a fight based on what, you know? So I would way rather have the strategy of a fighter coasting or attempting to coast because they're winning versus getting screwed by a dumbass judge.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just giving you that option of knowing, right? Like, knowledge is power. That's a great, a great phrase about it. So
yeah, it's just strategy. It's just, yeah, at the end of the day, it's going to be a strategy.
So then, with that all in mind, to wrap it up, like, do you think it'll be more likely for Bellator to have open scoring before the UFC does?
You know, Bellator always likes to beat the UFC in whatever they can. So, and one of them being crowning the first ever flyweight champion.
Yep.
Of the female. So
opening a featherweight division, going to Hawaii.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I feel like
working with other promotions.
Maybe if Dana White were to say like, we will never have open scoring ever, then Bellator will be like, okay, we'll do it. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, no kidding. It worked the last time he said something like that. Yeah. So, oh my goodness. Well, all right, Ilima, I don't want to keep you too long. It's always fun. Could talk about anything, obviously, whether it's grandmas or other things.
Grandmas or predators.
Yeah.
Whatever's freaking next.
Yeah. So. But appreciate you taking the time, and very excited to see you back in there, of course. And don't have to wait as long since, the gap between your last fight. So that's always fun. And hope that whatever your vitamins and whatnot in the doctor's office goes good here.
Thank you, Drake. Yes. It's all
right, Ilima. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.